I'm writing a piece on it, and I just want to know a bit from a professional, like someone who works in industry, how accurate the system is to what they are labeling it as.
I think, I mean, I don't know because the problem is it's difficult to monitor because I don't know if you've had a look at the underlying algorithm, but it looks at at nutrients that are on the nutrient information panel, like energy, saturated fat, sodium, and total sugar. Um, so we assume that the manufacturers are correctly declaring those nutrients on the nutrient information panel. But it also then looks at the content of fruit, vegetables, nuts, and legumes. And when you look at the ingredient list, sometimes you can work that out yourself, sometimes you can't. So, like I was looking at a muesli the other day and it's got dried fruit in it. But unless it says the percentage of sultanas or whatever it is, you can't actually work it out to monitor whether they are accurately reporting or using the calculator correctly. I suspect that they are using the calculator correctly because it's online. It's that they know their products, but I don't have any evidence of that. But I guess one thing that we have done is we have a packaged food database where we have research assistants that have gone into supermarkets and they've photographed all the products in the supermarkets that are food, which is pretty much everything. And then if they've got the health star rating on the product, then we also say what the manufacturer declared the health star rating to be, whether it's 3.5 or something like that. We then also have an algorithm where we estimate it ourselves because only 30% of products have a health
Yeah,
star rating.
yeah,
And sometimes there's a few differences, but we don't know if that's because of our estimate, because we don't know those FVNL points, or whether the manufacturers have got it wrong. But I think the bigger question is, does the is putting the health star rating on a product actually highlighting whether the product is healthy or not?
That leads on to my second kind of question is often I see like added protein or added fiber on like a cereal. And I just want to know if that's as effective as just naturally sourced fiber. Because obviously it's just been like
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I don't actually know the answer.
all good.
I would like to know the answer, and
Yeah.
it probably would need. I mean, I probably need to do a big literature review and look at that. Because there's so many factors.
Yeah.
Fiber has got so many different roles, so you'd have to think about, is it effective for what?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's preventing non-communicable diseases, but fiber obviously has immediate effects on your body, such as alleviating constipation. It helps the gut microbiome.
Yeah.
It delays digestion, so it might make you feel fuller. So it depends what you're looking at. But it does concern me about manufacturers making products even more highly processed by adding fiber in rather than putting ingredients in that are higher in fiber. So it's intuitive that we really want people to eat whole food, and so the closer the food is to what it naturally is,
Yeah.
better. And so the health star rating does encourage manufacturers to do things like add protein or add fiber to increase their points.
Yeah. If we're talking about ultra processed foods, I do you think companies are avoiding like a lower star rating by just shrinking their serving size?
Um, I mean, I don't know because they might have some customer backlash there. I mean,
Yeah.
as nutritionists, it would be quite good if they lowered the serving size because we obviously
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that need to eat less energy.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that they're doing that.
The UK have a traffic light system.
Yes.
Looking at how our obesity rates have not stopped increasing. Um, would a system like the UK's, I think they're a lot less obese in their stats. Would a system with the traffic light where they just label the three portions be more effective for our population?
When the health star rating was first discussed, or actually I should go back, when a front of pack labeling system was first discussed, and I wasn't working as an academic then, but the general feeling from researchers was that a traffic light system would be better.
Yeah.
But the food industry didn't want that, which usually gives you a clue that it's going to be effective. So that's really why we ended up with the health star rating, because that's what the food industry pushed for.
Right.
So we would have preferred the traffic light system. Like there's studies on the effectiveness of front of pack labels, and they come up with different answers, but generally it's thought that that color coding is helpful, particularly in terms of people will just intuitively know that red means stop or eat less, and green means good or eat more. But we've got the health star rating now, and so as advocates, we're really pushing for it to be mandatory. Except that it's not perfect, because no front of pack labeling is perfect, but we've got it. And if we threw it out and started again, we'd probably have nothing for a long time. So it would be better to have an imperfect system, but have it mandatory.
What are the government doing to push like the manufacturing use?
I suspect that it might not be MPI doing the work because it's joint with Australia. It might be Food Standards Australia and New Zealand doing the work, but that they are preparing for mandatory. So they're probably not really doing anything to encourage manufacturers to put the health star rating on, because they know it will be highly likely to be mandatory.
How important do you think the education of nutrition is in our schools to combat our issues with food?
Okay, so education is important, but only if it's combined with interventions that improves the food environment. Like everyone knows that vegetables are good for you, but most people don't eat enough vegetables. So it's not education that's letting them down there. It's because vegetables take time to prepare. People think they're expensive, though no, they're not always. You can buy cheap seasonal vegetables. You've got to be able to go and buy them. So we do need education, but we do need it in conjunction with other things at the same time. Education alone is not. Also, I think, but in schools, obviously it's the place for education, but the policies in schools also need to back up. There's no point the teacher talking about the negative impacts of sugar and then giving lollies as a reward. So they need to back up what they're doing, what they're teaching with the school environment.